With so many guitar lessons on YouTube, it can be overwhelming as a beginner trying to learn from the ground up, especially with so much conflicting information. In this series, we're combining the best lessons from the best teachers on YouTube without any of the filler. There are links in the description to all of the YouTube channels we're referencing, so please visit their channels, subscribe, and watch their full videos because they're all doing great work.
I always want to make sure you're sitting up straight. A lot of people hold the guitar, in the beginning, and they sort of slouch back like that. So just make sure the guitar is sitting on your lap. And I prefer to put it, if you're right-handed, on my right leg, like this. Some people you'll see do this. This is more of a classical way to hold the guitar. Some shredders do this as well. It's a good idea, but I prefer you do this so that when you stand up and play, it'll pretty much be in the same spot, okay? As far as just holding onto the guitar, what I like to do is I like to take my forearm and sort of rest it on the body, and it balances itself if you do that most of the time.
I found Mike's instruction to be straightforward and easy to apply.
A basic rule that I always tell myself, a sort of mantra that you can take home with you, is head over heart, heart over hips. So maybe from this angle it's better to see. If I'm slouching, my head's in front of my heart, right? And my heart is in front of my hips. So I can correct this by head over heart, heart over hips.
Brandon's profile view made it easy to follow his instructions.
Now, number one is we're gonna really want to have a solid, straight posture. So starting with the shoulders, just roll out your shoulders, relax, roll out your neck. A lot of the times I'll see players tense up in the shoulders like this. Any tension that you have in your body is gonna translate to your hands. It's gonna make learning chords and playing lines a whole lot harder. So relax the shoulders, relax your neck. Make sure your spine and your head are in one continuous straight line. You want your feet to be planted flat on the floor and your legs to be just slightly apart like this. Now, all the same principles are gonna apply when sitting down, when we're standing up. So I still wanna maintain good posture. I still want my spine to be straight with my neck, relaxed shoulders. You're gonna notice the relaxed shoulders is a little more important now that you're standing up, since the guitar is gonna be tugging down on your left shoulder here strap. The other thing to note is that there's gonna be a little less stability in the guitar itself because normally this part of the guitar was resting against our thigh. It's now just floating in space. So our right arm is gonna be really in control of that. And our left arm here, instead of preventing it from moving out or back, it's preventing it from moving up or down, sliding around on our shoulder. Whether you're sitting or you're standing up, posture is gonna play a really important role in your technique and how you're actually playing the guitar. So don't forget, always sit up straight, relax your shoulders, keep that balance between your right and your left hand, and enjoy playing.
Keep your legs slightly apart can mean different things to different people, but all in all, Nicholas helped my posture improve.
Posture is important, so make sure your back is straight. We're going to put the back side of the guitar up against the side of the body. And you're going to do so in such a way where this part right here is up against where the thigh meets the hip. Well, the first thing we need to do is establish a good seating position. And so you want a chair without arms. Either a stool or a chair without arms is going to be the best way to go, so your elbows can move around. This thing here is called a footstool. It's adjustable. And what I do is I put it, well, underneath my foot. And it allows me to raise my knee higher than my hip. And what that does is that keeps my guitar from sliding down my leg. It also puts the guitar up against the body in such a way where your left and right hand are aligned properly. It gives you the foundation to lay your guitar upon. This here is called the palm. From here to here is called the forearm. From here to here is called the bicep.
Using a chair without arms is a must for me when playing guitar.
If your leg for some reason is sitting at a bit of a downward position, the guitar is going to want to fall down. So oftentimes if you're sitting in a chair, which I can't show you right now, but if I was to put my leg on one of the little braces on the chair, it elevates my leg, and now this can sit even tighter in this position, and it's going to move even less. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll set my leg on the little wheel section of my chair, or you might have a little footstool or something like that secures this a little more, elevates the guitar a little bit higher up, which makes it a little bit easier to play too.
Using the wheel of the chair definitely prevents my guitar from sliding off my leg.
Sit up straight if you can. You know, it's always a challenge to sit up straight all the time. But sit up straight, good posture.
When students tend to sit, they tend to curl around like this, okay? You see the curve in my back, the pelvis is kind of tucked underneath, and the neck is forward. This is part of the reason why you can't actually see what you're doing with both hands on the guitar. Problem number 2 I see is sort of the opposite thing, where they kind of scrunch like this. They stick their butt out and their shoulders are slumped forward. Again, also not a great thing. The truth of the matter is, if your posture is off, gravity is working against me. When you've got good posture, your head rests on your neck, along your spine, and into your pelvis. And gravity wants to bring me down. Just pulls everything straight down. The surrounding muscles just need to work a little bit to keep you in balance. That's it. But if you start slouching forward like this, well, now gravity is now pulling on your chin, right? Your head is hanging over, there's nothing to support it. Gravity is just pulling it straight down, okay? This is gonna cause problems. These muscles in your neck are getting crunched, the muscles in your back are getting overstretched, and that's where problems, more permanent problems, can start to occur. The other side of the coin. So if you're kind of sticking your butt out a little bit, right? And your head is falling forward, well, again, your neck muscles are getting crunched, but so is your low back. These muscles are getting crunched. You need to find what we call a neutral pelvis. So you have to stick your pelvis forward, stick your pelvis all the way back. Now notice I'm not doing this. Keep your shoulders straight, keep your shoulders up, and just rock your hips back and forth to their extremes. Find out how far they go forward, find out how far they go back. Find that spot in the middle, and that's a neutral pelvis. Now to hold it in place, this is step number 2. Your belly button can actually hold this in place. You just pull it into your spine a little bit. The next part is your sternum, okay? So that's that bone that all of your ribs connect to. All you gotta do is lift that up. And the final step is to let the shoulders fall back. We're not pulling them back like this. Again, that's gonna crunch some more muscles in the back. You wanna let gravity do the work and let the shoulders fall back. So an easy way to remember this is up, back, up, back. And that's it. That's your posture. Now, the biggest mistake that I see students doing is they don't take the time to find the neutral pelvis. The rest of this isn't going to do a whole lot of good. You're still going to be prone to low back issues. Hey, what's new and exciting? Let me share a little of my story. I'm a guitar player, not a doctor, and that's not cool. I got a hot tip for you that I personally haven't had a problem, and I'd had 4 of them up to this point. That's pretty cool, right? Not quite. And there seems to be this myth, you're too close to your hands. Nothing could be further from the truth. Notice I'm not doing this, and that's not cool. I dare you. It's just, I know that's not the most rock and roll thing to think about when you're playing the guitar.
Finding a neutral pelvis while sitting was more difficult than I had anticipated, as was keeping my belly button tucked in.
Sit up straight like Mummy told you.
I want to go back in Mommy!
Having the music stand in front of me means that I'm not having to crane my neck much. There's a big temptation to be looking around on it like this, you know, and again, you're doing some funny stuff to your neck. The solution for that is using a mirror. Having a mirror that's pointing more or less straight at your hand that you can then look at, give you a lot clearer indication of how your posture is anyway for your hand. If you do find yourself with some neck, one of my bad habits, I very often cross my leg over, you know, when I'm practicing, because it seems to fit the guitar into, you know, at a nice height for me, but I'm told that's a bad habit. I still do it sometimes, but definitely, you know, having your feet flat on the floor. I always tend to find a seat that's low enough as well. I don't like the ones that are really high, because then I end up kind of having to move my foot at a funny angle to kind of get the guitar feeling snug. So, you know, having a lower down seat is a good idea as well, I think. A lot of times when people get tense, they do this, and it, you know, causes all sorts of tension, and tension is the enemy, really, when it comes to guitar playing in general. You want to try and be as relaxed as you can for everything. So, you know, that's just one to watch out for. A lot of people feel like their shoulders are relaxed, but then if you push them down, and then relax them, they stay there. So that's one little tip for relaxing your shoulders, is to push them down as far as you can go and then relax. Definitely, you know, sitting up straight is an important one. Not craning your neck. That's the biggest. If you only get one thing from this video, it's don't be doing this, you know, or that. Problems.
I look at my computer screen when playing guitar, so that's my version of a music stand. I tried using a mirror, but it made me self-conscious. Sitting low with my legs parallel is a must for people with short legs.
Putting your guitar on your leg that you're strumming with, of your strumming hand, will cause your shoulder to kink up like this. Your back gets twisted. When you do this, you won't be able to play for very long. So what I recommend is, like I said, what's called classical position on guitar. You actually want to move your guitar to your fretting hand leg. This is my fretting hand. I want to move my guitar like this, right where, like the guitar is like a seat belt. You can see the guitar is like a seat belt right across my body. The guitar is going to rest on your fretting hand leg like this. And actually, what that will allow you to do is not only can it balance itself sometimes, like I don't have to be picking the neck up. That's a problem with a lot of guitars, is that the neck is very heavy. If your guitar is like a seat belt, like this, look where my back is. I'm sitting straight up. My spine is straight. My shoulders are down. So this way, all I have to do is just reach my hands like this, and I'm comfortable. Like my back is relaxed, my shoulders are relaxed. I can play for so much longer like this. But what's another benefit that people don't realize is that if you look at my hand, and here's my thumb, most people, when they play with their guitar on their strumming hand leg, their guitar neck goes flat like this. It's not tilted up, it goes flat, and it's too far down from their shoulder. So they'll have to bend down, and their thumb will usually be over the top, and it's hard to reach the notes, right? And also, if my hand is in this position, my fretting hand, this is as far apart as I can spread my pinky finger and my index finger. I can't go more than that, right? And so people think they have a problem playing guitar, but it's usually just their posture that they need to adjust, and adjust their fretting hand position. They can do a whole lot more stuff on the guitar. So if I move my guitar into a classical position, now my back is straight, my head is straight, my shoulders are completely relaxed, my guitar is almost balancing itself, right? And now, look, if I put my thumb on the back of the neck right here, now look how far I can spread my hands out. That's like 3 or 4 frets longer. Now, will it feel weird when you do this for the very first time? Yeah, but what doesn't feel weird when you do it for the very first time? If you start playing in this classical position, you will start to notice that you have less pain, you can play longer, you can play better, you can hit notes easier, and you'll actually start to prefer this position. You want to have the guitar with the strap on. You want to have the guitar in the same position as you're sitting down. Put your strap short enough to where it's exactly the same when you stand up. So it's always in that same position, just like that.
This classical position is awkward for me. My left hand is so much further out, though it did feel better in my wrist. Also, the guitar wanted to slide off my lap a lot easier this way, which contributed to the awkwardness.
I got to change the way that I sit when I practice. It was suggested to me that I get a classical footstool. Kind of looks like this. Is you place this under, I should say, the fretting arm leg. For us righties, that's going to be the left foot. And you place your foot on the board, and that allows your guitar to sit in a position that does not require your hands or arms to hold it in place. Pretty ideal, considering this is exactly the same thing that happens when you have a strap and you stand up. The other thing that goes away magically is your elbow will no longer cram into your side when you're playing the higher frets, and it allows you to stand up or sit up straight. Your breathing is going to improve from this because your lungs get the ability to take in full capacity as you inhale and exhale. Something that doesn't happen if you crouch over. Admittedly, this took a few weeks to get really used to. So if you go to make this change for yourself and you decide after 3 minutes that it feels weird and awkward and that you should go back to your old position, give it a few weeks at least.
Holding the guitar this way without a footstool is awkward for me. I don't notice an improvement in my breathing, but maybe I just need to give it some more time.
So I want you to hold your guitar the best you can, the best way that you know how. Hold down a chord shape. I'm going to play a G chord and strum it. Now I want you to let go of the guitar with your chord hand. When you let go, did your guitar move? It should have stayed perfectly still. You know, when you let go with your chord hand, take a look at my guitar. It's not moving at all. Now, if your guitar went like this, when you let go and it moved around, that means you're not holding it properly. Now, the problem with the thing moving is that it means your chord hand is supporting the weight. First thing you want to do is make sure that you're placing your strumming arm on top of the guitar properly. Now, this might fix everything for you. You just put your arm on top of the guitar, rest some weight on it, just let it rest. You want to make sure that your arm's not too far in front. You also want to make sure that your elbow is free to move. If your elbow is on top of the guitar, you're going to have a hard time strumming. You want the crease of your elbow to kind of line up with the corner of the guitar here. And your bicep is resting on top of the guitar, right about there, on top of the bell. You rest your arm on top of it. Make sure that your elbow can move freely. It's not too far in front, but not too far back. The crease of your elbow kind of lines up with the corner of the guitar. Now let's do our test again. Grab a chord, strum it, let go, and it shouldn't move. Next step, we want to make sure our guitar is tilted upright. So your guitar at the lowest should be parallel to the ground, but tipping it upwards actually makes it a little bit easier to play. It helps your wrist stay in a better position. See, if I lower my guitar too much, my wrist has to bend. Whereas when I raise the guitar up, my wrist can be a lot more neutral. You might have to readjust where you're placing your arm on top of it, have your neck tilted upwards, and your guitar is probably on top of one of your legs. You might have to raise your foot a little bit. You can just put a book underneath your foot, or you could buy a fancy footstool. I used to just, by raising your foot a little bit, that'll also help your wrist get unbent. It'll help you get a bit more pressure on there with your arm. It gets your guitar closer into your chest. The last thing I want you to do is make sure that your guitar isn't tilting. You know, I know it's tempting to want to look at all the notes you're playing and tilt your guitar like this, but that causes you to bend your wrist. It makes you bend over and hunch and hurt your back a little bit. Have your guitar upright like this, sit up straight. It's gonna help you out so much. Hopefully now your guitar shouldn't be moving. That means you're supporting it properly. It's close into your chest, it's not tilted too much. You're sitting up straight. You know, you have enough support. Your wrist isn't bending in a weird way.
This advice worked well for me, though since I'm playing electric, my bicep doesn't rest on the guitar.
You want to have a nice, firm chair that when you sit on, your feet are flat on the floor. Your thighs are kind of parallel, and you can have a nice, straight back, shoulders back a little bit. There's going to be a little curve here. That curve, if you're right-handed, sits on your right thigh. My right leg just naturally wants to raise up a little more to kind of meet, for the guitar to kind of meet my body. So I do use a footstool for my right leg. Your right arm, or your strumming arm, is going to be what really holds your guitar in place. My forearm's kind of resting up here on the top part of the guitar, and that kind of pushes it down onto my leg. Now, it's not like a lot of force. You don't want to be like crushing it in there. You still want to be nice and relaxed when you're holding the guitar, but you should not be holding your guitar up with your left or your fretting hand. Now, this is a little easier to do when you don't have a long sleeve shirt on it, and you're putting most of that pressure and holding that guitar in place with your right or your strumming, arm. So while your arm's kind of resting on that guitar, you're also the guitar's kind of moving into your body here. You don't want your shoulder to kind of be too far forward. You kind of want it, you don't want to kind of play this way. You want to play more this way. Try not to look at your hands, but it's almost impossible not to, especially when you're learning something really new. So a lot of times I'll see beginners kind of holding their guitar out like this. Don't do that. When you're doing that, you're really not holding your wrist in a nice kind of straight, more of that. I get those horizontals.
Horizontally.
You want to get to the point where you can look down at your guitar like this without craning your neck, and just using those dot inlays to keep track of where your hand is. And another thing you can do kind of when you're first starting out is you can use a guitar strap and wear that guitar strap while you're seated. And that can also kind of help your guitar rest up onto your thigh there and against your body a little better. So if you're having trouble with like your guitar kind of floating around, or you're just kind of getting used to how much weight to put onto that with your strumming hand, using a guitar strap isn't a bad idea.
Kevin advises keeping feet flat on the floor and also using a footstool. For me, putting my foot on the wheel of my chair like Steve Stine suggests works for me since I don't have a footstool. When my feet are flat on the floor, my guitar wants to slide off my legs.